So good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whatever time that you are watching this video. I am Richard Taylor, and I'm coming back with an update concerning a video I did about a month ago concerning current school board, Wayne County School Board member, Mr. Chris West, and his apparent ability to use his influence in order to get his son and his son's lawn care and lawnscaping company thousands of dollars worth of contracts from the Wayne County Public School Board and school systems, which is apparently unethical and against the rules without their relationship being disclosed. And with the article that was written by Ken Fine and also more information that was unearthed, we found that proper disclosure and proper procedures were not followed, yet and still Chris West's son was still allowed to operate in that manner, being in total conflict of interest with his father being a member of the school board in itself. However, this video is about an exact instance of how the elder West, Chris West, school board member Chris West, was deliberately intentional in my opinion, bullying a fellow middle school or elementary school principal into using his son's services. And the principal and the school in question is Tommy's Road Elementary, and that principal name is Miss Tamika Allen. Now, according to information that was provided to me recently, it was during the time that the schools were looking for vendors in order to perform the landscaping tasks as far as mulching and, beautifying the campuses, which, with all the problems that the school system is facing, I think beautifying the campuses is the least of our, or should be the least of our concerns. Nevertheless, it was told that Miss Allen, the principal, was speaking to her bookkeeper or fellow staff member. And she was asking this particular bookkeeper, did she know anyone with a landscaping company that could perform the work needed to be done, or the beautification process that needed to be done for Tommy's Road Elementary. Now, it was said that this particular employee or bookkeeper responded saying, my nephew or my cousin has a business and, he does this kind of work. So consequently, Principal Allen solicited the nephew's services of that bookkeeper. Off of the referral from that bookkeeper, she solicited and employed that particular vendor, that particular landscaping company, to do the work. However, when Superintendent Chris West heard of the decision to use this particular vendor instead of his son, it has been alerted and told to me that Superintendent Chris West called this principal, Mrs. Tamika Allen, and told Miss Allen in response to her hiring this other guy, hey, why didn't you use my son to get the job done? Now, I don't have the results or her response to that question, but nevertheless, after that conversation, and you can look at the records and the vendors, you will see that Mrs. Allen and Tommy's Road Elementary used Chris West's son's landscaping company. You can go back at the previous video and get that landscaping company's name. I don't remember it right offhand, but it has been told to me that in an act of unabashed bullying, Chris West called that principal and asked her, why didn't you use my son to perform the work? Now, it is assumed that Chris West also is over that district, so he has some type of influence over that principal and whether or not she may run into problems with keeping her job. So therefore, You can look at the records concerning Tommy's Road Elementary and the landscaping jobs. You will see 2 landscaping companies marked off for that job of doing the same work. And that is because Chris West called this principal and basically bullied her into using his son's landscaping company after she had already secured the services of the relative of her bookkeeper. Now, this shows the blatant disregard for fair and equitable, processes, but also his air of arrogance to be able to call this principal and almost berate her into using his son's landscaping company. Now, once again, you can look this up, and in the earlier video, in the earlier article written by Ken Fine, it was also said that many of these principals were appointed when Chris West was the head or the chair of the school board. Therefore, meaning they might feel that they owe Chris West favors. I think 5 of the schools that awarded his son, and I don't even remember his son's name, but 5 of the schools that awarded his sons the contract the principals were appointed under Chris West's tenure. Chris West's tenure as vice or chairman of the school board members. So tell me what y'all think about that, right? This guy's literally bullying principals, and that's just one instance that we see. Now, this was told to me by an employee of the school system who has an inside track of that occurrence. Now, once again, if there's any improprieties in my story, you can call me at 919-587-7782. Once again, this is alleged that he has done these things. Nevertheless, the allegations have stemmed from a Wayne County School Board employee who has also been credible on many other information or sources of information that have been divulged over the past 5 months. So this is, once again, Chris West. Now, we did a whole video outlining, once again, the contradictory nature of the fact that this West's son, who also works for the school system, as a matter of fact, who doesn't even supposed to be performing these kind of jobs, moonlighting as a contractor without certain procedures and protocols being followed. And as we seen from the previous video, those protocols have not been followed as yet. But here we see a clear-cut case of, in my opinion, bullying, calling a principal after she has already secured the individual for the job to perform the job. He bullied her into hiring his son in addition to the vendor that she had already secured and employed for the job that needed to be accomplished. So once again, my number is 919-587-7782. You can call me if anything needs to be corrected about this story. I am all ears. But once again, I've heard numerous instances on where this Mr. Chris West guy has used his position and walks around with the air of arrogance. And I've actually talked to him on the phone, and when I alerted him to the fact that I was denied volunteer status, he sent me the runaround saying they don't handle it, and call this person and call that person, like this is not a matter. This matter is beneath him. So there we have it. Once again, Chris West has been alleged to be bullying teachers to use his son's landscaping company to be awarded contracts above other vendors, other qualified vendors as well, other licensed contractor, which his son's company is not. He's been using his influence to make sure that teachers and principals and staff use his son's company in order to gain financial benefits from his position. Peace and love. What do y'all think about it?